How do you, without giving away your game plan, I guess, how do you do that?
You know, we have our system is basically 8 different things, and within each one of those 8 categories, there's some more more run-oriented defenses, and some more pass-oriented defenses. And then we've got to go back to those 8 systems and pull out the pass-oriented defenses.
This is your first opponent that you've played this year that's going to be super pass heavy. The other 3 were a little more pro style, it seemed. What challenges does that pose facing this kind of defense, or this kind of offense for the first time?
You know, when you face an offense that spreads the ball out and particularly throws it down the field, you know, you've got to, from a defensive standpoint, you have to play with great intensity because if someone misses a tackle, it can become a bigger play. So, you know, I think one of the big things we have to do is everyone on our defense will have to make tackles all over the field. And everyone will have to run and make tackles.
Leach has been there for a few years now. Have you seen the offense grow more effective over his time at Washington State?
You know, I think that offense, I think Washington State's offense does a tremendous job of what they do, and that's spread the ball around. And I think every year that they're there, they're going to get better. You know, all of a sudden you get the players you need in the system to really make your system go. And I think they're doing a wonderful job right now.
I think Rutgers and what Nevada did in their wins over them, they put pressure on Halliday. Is that certainly the key this week, to get consistent pressure on him?
You know, I don't know if I don't know if all-out pressure is the key. I think with any game plan, you have to have a pressure package. You have to pick and choose when you bring it. You know, pressure can really help you, and pressure can really hurt you. So, but I think you have to have a pressure package.
Last time.
What kind of things do you have to do to cut down third down conversions for them this week?
You know, for us, you know, looking at ourselves and reflecting on the last 3 games, we have to play with more intensity in the pass rush, and then do a better job of tackling. And then last week we didn't do as good a job as we had before. And then obviously, you know, we'll be calling some different defenses this week, some different calls that should help us in the passing game.
Last time you guys played Washington State, obviously what most people remember is your predecessor, Nick Aliotti's comments after the game, being upset with them throwing the ball late. From your perspective, what did you think of that? Is that something that you're okay with the other team doing?
I didn't think twice about it then. I don't think twice about it now. That's between Nick and the Coach Leach. No comment.
How do you convince your defense to at least acknowledge that the other team could run when typically they hardly ever run?
You know, yeah. What happens, you know, with an offensive attack like this, you're pass rushing so hard that they can hit you with the run. So we have to do a great job of practice of structuring some situations where our guys are taking their pass rushing and then insert some runs, because that's how it's going to happen in the game.
How much can you take from last year against them in terms of film?
You know, I think their system hasn't changed much. You know, I think they're more, you know, they were efficient then, they're efficient now. So, you know, last year's game is just looking at what we did and what we could have improved on last year, and seeing what from last year's game plan fits what we're currently doing.
In this type of offense, is there an emphasis on maybe getting out to a fast start, forcing a 3-and-out so Halliday can't get into a rhythm?
Well, that would be nice. I mean, I don't know if that's what we're not preaching at. I mean, we're always trying to preach, get off the field. So, you know, anytime you can get off the field early, it helps with the momentum and the early tempo of the game. But, you know, we've got to be prepared to go out there and just play as long as we need to play to get the job done.
Have teams tried to avoid EFO, or have they just played you guys straight up?
You know, I haven't really studied it from that standpoint, so I really can't answer that one.
So I imagine Washington State, like you said, they use all of the field, so I don't think they'll probably think who's where, or how have you seen EFO used this year?
I haven't really studied whether people are trying to go to him or away from him. I know that when you play a team like Washington State that has 4 really good receivers, running backs that can catch the ball, they're just going to run their system.
What does Connor Halliday do well as a quarterback?
He gets the ball out of his hand extremely fast. I mean, it's catch and release. He can read defenses really fast. So when that ball is snapped and he gets in his hand, he knows where he's going with it. So it's out really fast. And he's quicker than you think. He stays alive. He avoids some people, and then he makes plays down the field. So he's really, really good.
Coach, linebacker play is going to be key this week. How have the linebackers done in the first 3 games, specifically Tyson?
Yeah. You know, looking at the linebacker core through the first 3 weeks, we've been good. we've had some really good moments, and we left a lot of plays on the field. So, obviously, what we're looking for is consistency, and this is a different opponent, because now we got to run around and make tackles in space as opposed to making tackles in the box. But it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful challenge.
Washington State's offense changed the way you start the game, where you start with 6 DBs or 5 DBs and not 3 linebackers?
I think in this game we're going to have to play a ton of people. So I think you're going to see the 5 DBs, the 6 DBs, the 4 DBs. And I think you're going to see that those groups rolling. I think that's going to be the strategy going in.
How will you start? Can you reveal such
So I haven't made that yet. I'll have that done probably Friday.
How much did playing so much last week help Chris Cisse get ready for this game?
I think the moments that Chris and those younger players, those freshmen have had on the field has been really valuable. Not only because it's Washington State, but it's league. It's different. The intensity level goes up. Everything changes when you play in league. So for those guys to get some valuable reps under their belt moving forward, I think is huge.